Chapter 61. Thunder Fire Lotus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 61. Thunder Fire Lotus. Rumble. After several failures, the new melting thunder showed no trace of explosion, and even the mutated black magic thunder began to completely blend with the two flames. Yes, the three mutated elemental powers are beginning to merge. And just at the moment of fusion, the surrounding space was completely distorted. The fire lotus is only the size of a palm, suspended in Lei Qi's palm. The lotus heart is divided into two colors, or in other words, there is only one cyan color, but the rest is completely transparent. On the lotus leaves, black electric current floats from time to time, seemingly calm. The lotus flower actually contains a power that is difficult for him to understand. Lei Qi was successful, but after condensing this fire lotus, the fighting spirit in his body almost bottomed out. Moreover, the fire lotus at this moment was not completely successful. The destructive energy within it was too terrifying. Even Lei Qi had to carefully balance it to a balanced level. I took a recovery pill, but it still couldn't be completely suppressed. The little medical fairy and Ziyan can no longer stand it. There are so many monsters here, and their fighting power is also terrifying. There are only 3 of them, however. Yang Ji was still observing secretly. Lei Qi did not allow him to take action. How could he dare to show up until he was on the brink of crisis? Zitzi. Finally, after another moment, the fire or thunder fire lotus was finally thrown from Lei Qi's hand. Call out. As the thunder fire lotus in Lei Qi's hand was thrown, a shocking loud sound of bang resounded loudly. At this moment, a destructive force swept from the place in front of Lei Qi like a space storm. When they came out, the cave they were in and the surrounding area were shaking like an earthquake at this moment. Huge cracks began to spread in all directions, and the beast group wanted a chance to stop. All completely lost. Thunder Fire Lotus soon came into contact with the beasts. Boom! In an instant, a storm of thunder and flames that was as large as 100 feet erupted in an instant. The storm in the distance seemed to connect the heaven and the earth. Like a miracle, the thunder and fire storm raged, and the waves of destruction spread out like ripples. The valley around the Luotian stream was shattered, and the bodies of many monsters started to chi when they were affected by the waves of destruction. With a sound, it turned into a ball of black ashes, no matter it is a 5th-level monster or a 6th-level monster. The wave of destruction spread for nearly a kilometer. Within a kilometer, everything was turned into red ground without any objects. At that moment, everything was reduced to ashes. Unknown how many monsters broke out in Luotian stream and besieged them, and they all died violently. However, those who were lucky enough to survive, without exception, began to flee into the distance. The huge crater left in the distance by the thunder fire lotus that destroyed the beast tide not only dumbfounded the little medical fairy and Ziyan, but also Yang Ji in the dark and the elders sent by the Thunder Clan. So confused. This blow made even Yang Ji feel his scalp numb, because this is already a powerful destructive force that can threaten Dou Zun. Even Dou Zun, I'm afraid he can't resist this terrifying power, right? Lei Qi, who followed from the dark, was also full of shock that he never expected that Lei Qi, a Dou Zun, would burst out with Dou Zun level power. Seriously so scary. Last time, wasn't that all? When the power of destruction completely calmed down, the little medical fairy asked. That's all, but it's not like you don't know that I am a master of both thunder and fire. The thunder attribute must be to the extreme, and the same goes for the fire attribute. Moreover, I want to see if I can withstand the fusion of different fires. Black magic thunder. Unexpectedly, it actually succeeded. Although Lei Qi looked a little pale, he still responded. Yang Ji, don't let anyone come near this place. Lei Qi sat down on the ground and gave a reminder. Yes, young patriarch. Soon, Yang Ji's figure appeared and he immediately agreed. Lei Qi and the others adjusted their breathing and began to recover. It was not until 3 days later that the 3 of Lei Qi returned to their peak state. Although the battle 3 days ago seemed a bit embarrassing, there is no denying that this is a good thing for Lei Qi. And just when they were about to leave here, suddenly, the space in front of them twisted, and then, a figure emerged from the crack in the space. The figure that came out was quite strong, with a strong back and strong waist, and exuded a strong and fierce look. At the moment when the other party suddenly appeared, Yang Ji hurriedly came to Lei Qi and others, even he was a little shocked. Under his guard, someone could appear directly in front of Lei Qi and the others. This is not a good thing for him. Who are you? Yang Ji looked at the man in front of him warily. The man looked at Zi Yan eagerly, then looked at Yang Ji, clasped his fists. I'm He Qing of the Taishu Ancient Dragon Clan. After hearing that the other party reported his name, Yang Ji looked at Lei Qi. Zi Yan, this should be your tribe. Lei Qi looked at Zi Yan and said. Well, he has a familiar aura on him. Zi Yan nodded and said. Thank you guys for escorting my tribe. May I ask which force you are from? He Qing asked again. They had felt Zi Yan's appearance in Zhongzhou before. It's a pity that the breath disappeared before there was a chance to look for it. Thunder Clan. Lei Qi responded. That's it. He Qing muttered, as for the Dudi family, it's normal that they can't sense it. After all, the Taishu Ancient Dragon Clan today is very different from the past. I have been ordered to bring this little girl back to my clan. He Qing said again. Zi Yan. Lei Qi looked at her. Lei Qi, can you come with me? Zi Yan asked Lei Qi, although she has always wanted to find her family. But after living with Lei Qi for so long, in fact, whether it was her tribe or her family, she wasn't that eager anymore. Moreover, Lei Qi, Kai Lin, Little Medical Fairy and even Qin Lin and Chao Ying are not all his family members. Lei Qi did not respond to Zi Yan, but looked at He Qing. After all, the current situation of their Taishu Ancient Dragon was very bad, so he really didn't know if he was suitable to go there. If possible, he would of course want to go to Gulong Island, not to mention anything else. After getting acquainted with the people on Dragon Island, and after reaching the level of Dou Zun, you can also go to the Void Thunder Pond to practice. He Qing hesitated after hearing this. It would be fine if it was an ordinary person, but for the Thunder Clan, he didn't know if he should agree. If it's inconvenient, you can take Zi Yan back. Lei Qi said again. I do not. But when Zi Yan heard this, she immediately shook her head and refused. Seeing this, He Qing said, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that there is indeed some trouble in the clan at the moment. However, I can see that the little girl believes in you. Friends of the Thunder Clan, come with me. Chapter 62-62. Send Zi Yan back to her clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 62. Send Zi Yan back to her clan. Inside the space crack, there is a strange passage filled with faint silver light. The passage extends to an unknown end, and Lei Qi and the four of them are flying rapidly following He Qing. Although he didn't know where the end point was, even Yang Ji, who was in the early stage of 8-star Dou Zun, couldn't achieve this speed with people. Looking at this scene, Yang Ji sighed from the bottom of his heart, as expected of the ancient void dragon. He can actually build such a long-distance space transmission channel with one person's power. Perhaps even the strongest warriors at the peak level of Dou Zun are not enough. The only ones who can do this are probably those powerful Dou Zun warriors and the ancient dragon clan whose control over the power of space has reached a superb level. The 5 people shuttled through the space passage for nearly an hour. The uniform silver light around them was a bit boring. Fortunately, an hour later, they finally saw a silver circle of light, which was obviously the end of the space passage. Soon, they passed through the circle of light. After rushing into the aperture, the vision of several people suddenly became brighter after a moment of blur, and the vision in front of them was no longer the monotonous silver. Lush green and mountain peaks filled their eyes again. Eyeball, the most shocking thing is the land in front of us. Of course, it may be impossible to describe it as land. It is more like an island. This island is extremely vast. Above the sky of the island, there is a circle of light silver bowl-shaped light shield hanging down, enveloping the entire island. When looking outside the light shield, several people were stunned. Because outside, there is actually a void space that is so dark and chilling. This island is actually suspended in the void space. No wonder there are no traces of Taishu ancient dragon in Zhongzhou. It turns out you live in this kind of place. Yang Ji muttered, although the area of the island is not as large as their Thunder World, it is a more hidden and void space. Even the strong Dou Zun dare not wander into it. Placing the habitat here is absolutely extremely difficult. Safety, Lei Qi just smiled and said immediately, you guys, come with me. A group of 4 people followed Lei Qi and landed on a giant peak in the center of the island. Along the way, they also met a few patrol-like figures. However, when they saw Lei Qi, they stopped and just after looking at a few people, he backed away. Maybe they were just wondering why humans appeared here. At the top of the giant peak, just when the soles of their feet landed on the ground, a figure in white robes quietly appeared in front of the 5 people. Lei Qi met the 3rd elder. When Lei Qi saw the white-robed old man in front of him, he cupped his hands, then pointed at Ziyan behind him and said, this is the descendant of our Dragon King, Ziyan. The moment he saw Ziyan, Lei Qi realized that her bloodline was far higher than his. They are friends from the Thunder Clan, and Ziyan should have been with them these years. Lei Qi continued, the 3rd elder was not ignorant. He cupped his fists and said, thank you to my friends from the Thunder Clan. You're welcome. Lei Qi responded. Ziyan, it's great to see you. The 3rd elder looked at Ziyan again, then looked at Lei Qi and others and said, I am Julie. Ziyan was full of doubts, but she quickly asked about her family. Regardless of whether she was disappointed or not, she still wanted to find out, but Ziyan's family is not the old Dragon Emperor. If he knew where the old Dragon King was, Taishu Ancient Dragon would not be in the current situation. The 3rd elder, Julie, just shook his head, saying that he didn't know. They are already very happy to even see Ziyan. As long as Ziyan can be cultivated, then with the Dragon King's bloodline suppressed in the future, the ancient Dragon Clan will inevitably reunite. Although there are many powerful people in the Thunder Clan, Julie will naturally not say this. No matter how they fight among themselves, it is also their Taishu Ancient Dragon Clan's own business. How can they let others know Taishu Ancient Dragon's current situation? It will. Julie looked at Lei Qi and clasped his fists. Friends of the Lei Clan, I have something to talk with Ziyan. Okay, then we won't disturb you. Lei Qi said. No, that's not what I meant. Julie immediately shook his head and said, of course he didn't want to see off the guests, he just wanted to say something to Ziyan, but Lei Qi could see that the other party was still wary of them, but she smiled and said, come with me, I am just worried that you will be disadvantageous to her. It can be seen that she means something different to you. Moreover, I think you should also have a special way to train her. In this case, we will not bother you. Lei Qi Ziyan became a little anxious when she heard this. Ziyan, practice well here. You also know the location of the Thunder Clan. You can come back at any time when you want to come out. Lei Qi rubbed Ziyan's little head and said, in any case, Taishu Gulong still knows better than him how to make her grow quickly. After all, it is an ethnic group that has been passed down to this day. Seeing Lei Qi like this, Julie seemed a little embarrassed, but he was also thinking about the safety of his clan. However, it did surprise him that Ziyan was so dependent on the person in front of her. This kind of friendship with human beings has never happened before. As the overlord in ancient times and has been passed down to the present, Taishu Ancient Dragon has their own pride, but now that Ziyan has identified the other party, of course they are willing to show their goodwill, but before the other party could say anything, Lei Qi clasped her fists and said goodbye and left here. Returning to the original path in the space tunnel. Just leave Ziyan here. The little medical fairy said with some reluctance. Although the little girl Ziyan is sometimes naughty, she is also a little pistachio. If we were to be separated, we would really feel a bit sad. This is Ziyan's tribe, and Ziyan's bloodline is very extraordinary. Here, she can grow much faster than in the Thunder Clan. Looking at the little medical fairy who was a little reluctant to leave, Lei Qi smiled and then said, we are not saying goodbye to Ziyan completely, there is still a chance to meet. Okay. Although the little medical fairy didn't want to say goodbye to Ziyan, she couldn't say anything after Lei Qi said so. there were 5 of them when they came, and when they returned, there were only 3 of them left. After another hour, they returned to the previous valley, and did not rest here. They left that night. Late at night, the 2 of them arrived at a city near Zhongyu, and later chose to settle here, having obtained a demonic core of the sky poison scorpion dragon beast. The most critical thing at the moment is the saliva of the Bodhisattva, although the Thunder clan never had such a thing, since it could appear in the Black Angle domain, he believed that he would definitely be able to find it. Even if you really can't find it, just go directly to the Black Corner domain. Chapter 63. The Little Medical Fairy and the Unfortunate Fate of Glacier Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 63. The Little Medical Fairy and the Unfortunate Fate of Glacier Valley. When leaving Luotian Stream, Yang Ji hid in the darkness again. Lei Qi does not plan to return to his clan now, and there is nothing important happening at the moment. He happens to be traveling in Zhongzhou for a while. They found a random place to stay and rested for the night. The next morning, Lei Qi and the Little Medical Fairy just walked out of the house, but they happened to meet an old man face to face. The old man in front of him has white hair and is dressed in white clothes. There are some snow-white snowflake patterns on the clothes. The whole person looks almost chilly from the inside out. After seeing each other, Lei Qi and the little fairy doctor didn't react much. Instead, the old man suddenly said, "This girl stays." Hearing this, the Little Medical Fairy looked at the other party in confusion. If I guessed correctly, the girls should have the disaster physique, poison body of disaster, right? The old man continued. As the old man's words came out, the entire inn fell into silence. Evil poisonous body. This kind of physique can definitely be called a disaster. Who would have thought that we would meet a woman with a calamitous and poisonous body here? When he heard what the other party said, Lei Qi was also slightly speechless. He didn't expect that the Little Medical Fairy and this Glacier Valley were really destined. However, thinking that the Valley Master of the Ice Valley is also a person who likes to study the poisonous body of disaster, he must also have a lot of resources suitable for the cultivation of the Little Medical Fairy. Not bad. The Little Medical Fairy had Lei Qi by her side, so she didn't deny anything. Whoa! In an instant, all the people dining here stood up. You are possessed of the poisonous body of disaster, and yet you dare to wander around the central region so arrogantly. Today, I, Glacier River Valley, will act on behalf of heaven and capture you. The old man looked at the Little Medical Fairy and shouted sternly with a face full of, representing justice. As soon as he finished speaking, he smacked his hand with an extremely cold power. When the Little Medical Fairy saw this, his eyes turned cold. Although she has always known that her physique is a problem, however, he didn't do anything, but the other party attacked with all his strength when they met. How can I bear it? The Little Medical Fairy took up the poisonous gas and blasted it out with the same palm. Oh, the moment the 2 palms touched each other, the entire inn exploded with a bang. The next moment, figures with fighting spirit transformed into wings fled into the air, and Lei Qi and the Little Medical Fairy also stood in the air. The old man in the Glacier Valley also stood in the air, accompanied by more than a dozen Dou Huang and Dou Wang. Poison girl, do you want to go against me, Glacier Valley? The old man in Glacier Valley was slightly shocked when he realized the strength of the Little Medical Fairy, 3-star late-stage Dou Zun. For such a young woman, even the poisonous body of Ernan is a bit bizarre. Although he was a late 4-star Dou Zun, he never felt at ease facing the Little Medical Fairy. Even the palm collision just now, if it weren't for his strong fighting spirit, he might have been hit. If you are not ruthless enough, you are being cruel to yourself. Lei Qi said. There were a lot of innocent people in that inn just now. The Little Medical Fairy said. Hearing this, Lei Qi was speechless for a while. Although this is the nature of the Little Medical Fairy, kindness is not a good thing in this world. What kind of look did you have in their eyes the moment they heard that you were a poisonous body of disaster? Didn't you notice? Lei Qi continued, under such circumstances, showing pity to others is not the attitude you should have. After hearing what Lei Qi said, the Little Medical Fairy hesitated. Humph, boy, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business, otherwise, you will be an enemy of the Zhongzhou forces. The old man found that there was an accomplice beside the Little Medical Fairy. and even he still couldn't see its strength, so he immediately reminded him coldly. Kill him. Lei Qi didn't even look at the other person, just said it calmly. The little medical fairy has never denied Lei Qi's words. The next moment, her figure flashed and headed towards the other party. The disciples in the Glacier River Valley were all moved at this moment. There were more than 20 or 30 Dou Wangs and even a Dou Huang lineup. If this were in the Northwest continent, it would undoubtedly be a top lineup, but this is not the Northwest continent, and besides, how terrible is the little medical fairy that they can suppress in numbers. Shichichi. A stream of colorful poisonous mist spread towards them, and instantly the Dou Wang level warriors turned into poisonous water. As for the powerful Dou Huang warriors in the Ice River Valley, only 2 of them could react quickly enough and escape from the battlefield after being poisoned. This scene shocked the old man. Just when he was shocked, the little medical fairy was already approaching. Compared with before, the little medical fairy with full firepower at this moment forced the old man to fight with all his strength. Bang bang bang. Buzz. Although the battle between 2 Dou Zun levels was in the sky, the ripples that erupted still destroyed a large area of the building below. The crowd had completely fled. After all, this was a fight between gods. Withering poison is difficult to control. That the little medical fairy charged up his strength while fighting with the opponent. When the strongest blow was fully charged, the next moment, he gathered poison into his palm and struck directly at the old man. Feeling the terrifying power of the little medical fairy's palm, the old man also completed his trump card. Laugh. However, his full blow seemed to be a joke, and the little fairy doctor melted it away at the moment of contact. Boom. The poisonous palm hit the old man directly, and immediately, ripples carrying the poison spread out. The 2 Dou Huang warriors who were lucky enough to survive evaporated the moment the ripples hit them. There were many people watching the battle in the distance, but after seeing such a scene, their faces turned pale. The powerful fighting emperor is like an ant in front of this girl. Call out, and in the poisonous mist, a figure also fell directly to the ground. He was not directly obliterated by the strength of the late 4-star Dou Zun, but obviously, the end was approaching. Oh, in an instant, the old man fell to the ground, covered in black and purple, and dying. The little medical fairy didn't forget to touch up the knife, and directly hit it with a palm. No, you can't kill. Before the old man could finish speaking, the poisonous palm melted the opponent directly. Lei Qi looked at the place where the old man died. There was a palm print, confirming that the strong man of Dou Zun in the Ice Valley was dead, and nodded with satisfaction. The little medical fairy looked at the mess everywhere, came to Lei Qi's side, and said a little regretfully, "Did I strike too hard? You just met me and didn't experience the dangers of this world." Lei Qi muttered. In his opinion, it was necessary to take the little medical fairy to the Black Corner territory, otherwise, her character would be really bad. No matter Kai Lin, Ziyan, Qing Lin, etc., as long as they are fighting, they never show mercy to anyone. As for the damaged things here, that's naturally because they are strong enough. If not, the master of this realm would have come out to ask for an explanation. Chapter 64 Siege of Glacier Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 64. Siege of Glacier Valley. After dealing with everyone in the Ice Valley, Lei Qi did not leave with the little medical fairy. Although he didn't know where the Glacier Valley was, the news here would definitely reach the Glacier Valley, so he didn't need to look for it or inquire about it. They would definitely come to his door when the time came. After that, they headed to the next city called Yicheng. This is still in the Middle Territory. 3 days later. Lei Qi, how long do we have to stay here? The little medical fairy asked in confusion. Since others dare to cause trouble, of course we can't just let it go, so we have to wait until the other party comes to our door. Lei Qi said with a smile. You mean, you haven't left for the past few days just to wait for the people from the Glacier Valley to come and cause trouble? The little medical fairy asked in surprise. I'm too lazy to come to the door, lest others say that we rely on the strong to bully the weak. But if the other party comes to us, they will die themselves. Lei Qi nodded. The little medical fairy hesitated for a while and then said, Isn't this good? You just want to make a grudge against a big force for no reason. Is Glacier River Valley a big force? Since they have started trouble on their own, of course they can't be lenient. Moreover, since they are very interested in your physique, they must also have studied or understood the Yan'an poison body. So there's nothing wrong with it. Unexpectedly, Glacier Valley, a representative force of the third echelon in Zhongzhou, must also have resources suitable for you. After listening to Lei Qi's analysis, the little medical fairy finally understood. Did Lei Qi, the co-author, intend to rob the other party? However, knowing that Lei Qi was here for her, the little medical fairy did not have any mixed emotions, but was very moved. She was an ordinary girl in a small town in the northwest continent. It was a blessing to meet Lei Qi. Be able to achieve what I have now. I am even more grateful than words can express. The little medical fairy felt that it was enough for Lei Qi to do this for her. As for what Lei Qi did, no matter whether it was right or wrong, it was right for her. Women are sometimes emotional creatures. Seeing the emotional fluctuations in the little medical fairy's beautiful eyes, Lei Qi smiled and said, "You're very touched, aren't you?" "Ah." The little medical fairy nodded slightly and did not deny it. "Then you have to work hard and give me more babies after the poison elixir condenses." Lei Qi said, although the so-called golden finger is not that important to him, but since we have it, we can't waste it. Moreover, among the descendants of the Thunder clan, the qualifications are obviously inferior, so he has the responsibility to train more descendants. After hearing what Lei Qi said, the little medical fairy's face instantly turned red with embarrassment. She is not a pig, she will give birth to more babies. Just when the two were chatting, suddenly, there was a cold air from the distance. And soon, hundreds of figures were seen in the sky, slowly surrounding them from all directions, and these white figures wore the same badge on their chests. A beautiful snowflake that is cold to the bone. These people are no different from the elders of the Glacier Valley that they met before. Obviously, they also come from the Glacier Valley, and many people in this city saw a large number of powerful people in the Glacier Valley, and immediately began to flee without saying anything. Such majestic and astonishing cold air continued to gush out from these people's bodies, and finally directly affected the environment of this world. The sudden drop in temperature in the city and the falling snowflakes were also caused by the majestic cold air. "The poisonous woman in trouble, you dare to stay here after killing my Glacier River Valley disciple, it's interesting, it's interesting." A faint old voice, mixed with powerful fighting spirit, slowly spread from the sky into the city, and finally in every it rings clearly to human ears. Hearing this old voice, the commotion in the city became much calmer, and some people even breathed a sigh of relief. Obviously, the Glacier Valley was not coming for them. After all, there is no such thing as a poisonous woman among them. At this time, among the white shadows, an old man holding a snake staff appeared in the void. "Will you follow this sect on your own, or will this sect capture you and take you back? What kind of bird land is the Glacier River Valley? How come there are people like you who are neither human nor ghosts?" Lei Qi glanced at the other party and said with disdain. "Go wild." The old man shouted angrily and said immediately, "This sect is the elder of the sky snake of the Glacier River Valley." "Then what?" Lei Qi disagreed. "Very good, today the misfortune poison girl is going to be captured, and you have to die too." After the cold voice of Elder Tian Snake came out, a strong cold air rushed towards Lei Qi. "Leave these awful to you, and leave the rest to me," Lei Qi said. "Yeah." The little doctor nodded. She also knew that although she was a poisonous body, the difference between reality and reality was much greater. "Junior, you have a good talent, but there is never a shortage of geniuses in Zhongzhou. Do you dare to interfere in the affairs of my Glacier River Valley?" That with a wave of his hand, the giant palm appeared in front of Lei Qi like lightning, as if it was going to shatter him into pieces. Boom! The strange fire burned directly on Lei Qi's body, and the flames shot up into the sky. The giant palm made of condensed ice suddenly cracked open and turned into countless energy points, pouring down. Seeing this, the elder Tian Snake paused slightly, and his eyes became particularly gloomy, because, although Lei Qi is only a late-stage 7-star Dou sect, the flames that shot into the sky just now and the violent thunder power are enough to show that this person is not simple. Try the ice power of this deity. Elder Tian Snake's attack was almost all out at Lei Qi. Palm thunder. Lei Qi showed no fear at all and waved his palm to greet him. Although there is a gap of 2 stars, the gap between 2 stars is nothing at all to Lei Qi. Boom! Rumble! Black thunder exploded, and after a burst of vibrations in the sky, Elder Snake was immediately knocked back that day. Bingzuan Jin is nothing more than that. Lei Qi stood in the air, with a look of disdain on his handsome face. The blood in Elder Tian Snake's chest was boiling. It was obvious that the strength of the person in front of him was beyond imagination. It can even be said that the opponent's strength can no longer be judged by his realm. Don't be so arrogant, great elder, help me. At this time, Elder Tian Shi shouted. Binghe, can't you take down these 2 little Duzongs? At this time, in the sky, Tian Shuangzi, the great elder of Binghe River Valley, appeared. Tian Shuangzi is a powerful 1-star Dou Zun, and his cultivation should be at the early stages. Seeing such a good prey, Lei Qi was not only unafraid, but also overjoyed. Elder Tian Snake looked a little ugly when he heard what the other party said. However, Tian Shuangzi's strength was far superior to him. After Tian Shuangzi appeared, he came directly to Lei Qi. Lei Qi was not afraid at all and flashed forward again. Boom bang bang. Boom bang bang. In an instant, in the sky, Lei Qi was fighting head-on with Shuangzi that day. After several rounds, Lei Qi was only slightly at a disadvantage. Chapter 65. Destroy Glacial Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 65. Destroy Glacial Valley. Boom! Another collision ended, and the face of the great elder of the Glacier Valley became ugly. He originally thought that he was just a Dozong, and he couldn't control it with his hands. However, what he didn't expect was that this Dozong was simply outrageous. He actually used the power of Dozong to harden himself for several rounds. Elder Tian Snake, Bing Xian, Bing Hua, Bing Fu, Bing Yuan, I stopped this kid. You can quickly capture the evil and poisonous woman. Tian Shuangzi ordered to the people behind him, as long as the misfortune poison girl can be captured, what will happen even if Lei Qi is strong? What a shameless bastard. Lei Qi also became slightly angry when he heard this. Although the little medical fairy will be fine, the other party's words are simply provocation. Humph, I don't bother to waste time with you. Tian Shuangzi sneered. Yang Ji, crush him. Lei Qi ordered, and the next moment, his figure rushed towards the Dou Zun who were heading towards the little medical fairy. Tian Shuangzi was a little confused. Just when he was about to take action, his body couldn't move. And then, he saw a figure appear in front of him. Boom! Above the sky, a roaring and ear-splitting explosion came out, and the 5 Ice Valley elders who rushed towards the little medical fairy were all stunned. I saw that a man as strong as Tian Shuangzi and Dou Zun was killed in just a few rounds of contact. Even the Valley Master of the Glacier Valley would have difficulty killing Tian Shuangzi at such a speed, right? Boom! While they were shocked, Lei Qi had already caught up with them. With both palms slapping out, the black magic thunder directly invaded the bodies of Bing Fu and Bing Yuan. In an instant, they were completely shattered, the 2 6-star Dozong, but in front of Lei Qi, they were no match for each other. Bing Xian, Bing Hua, stop him. Seeing this, Elder Tian Snake hurriedly ordered. Yes, although the 2 of them were also very afraid, they had to obey orders at the moment, but when the 2 of them went to kill Lei Qi, Elder Tian Snake didn't go towards the little medical fairy. Instead, he just escaped from here. Sky Snake, you villain. When Bing Xian saw this, he immediately yelled. Boom! But Lei Qi was approaching, and the blazing strange fire poured directly into the bodies of the 2 elders in the Glacier Valley. Rumble! Cyan and colorless strange fires exploded in the sky in an instant. As for the 2 elders of the Glacier Valley, they almost lost their life breath instantly. After killing them, Lei Qi said, Chai, Glacier Valley can be removed from the list. Yes. Yang Ji responded and followed. The little medical fairy also followed immediately. 1 day later, they pursued them to the Glacier Valley. All the elites dispatched by Glacier River Valley were killed without exception, leaving only Elder Tian's snake. Naturally, his escape speed was much faster. The place where they were at this time was outside the main hall deep in an ice field. After arriving here, Lei Qi didn't care whether the people here were wronged or not. No one was left alive wherever he went. Soon, the three of them broke into the main hall of Glacier Valley. In the cold hall, at the first place, a white-robed figure sat on the icy throne. A pair of emotionless eyes looked at the escaping snake. That person? The calm voice caused a sudden chill in the hall. Valley Master, among those two people, there is also a Dou Zun following him. Elder Tianshuangzi has been killed. Elder Tianshan was still afraid. So, you just led people into my Glacier Valley? Lord Ice said in an extremely cold voice. Subordinate Elder Tian naturally knew that someone was chasing after him, but in his opinion, only Lord Bing could resist. Humph, it seems that our Glacier Valley has provoked a being that we cannot afford to offend today. However, no matter who dares to slaughter the disciples of our Valley Master here, they will die. As soon as Lord Bing finished speaking, his figure disappeared from where he was. Of course, along with him are the elders of Tian's snake. No matter what the reason, he brought the other party here. At this time, he naturally had to face it with him. No matter who you are, stay here today. A wave of fluctuations came out from the twisted space. Faintly, an ice throne emerged from the space. On the throne, a figure wearing a white robe slowly stood up. Lord Bing looked at the scene in the valley in front of him. This was tantamount to the annihilation of his sect. Looking at Lei Qi and the others, Lord Bing's face became even colder. Funny, do you have that strength? Lei Qi said disapprovingly. Lord Bing looked at Yang Ji. Even with his cultivation level, the man in front of him couldn't tell the depth of him. Obviously, the other party wants to be above him, but this is his territory after all, so how could he just let it go? Bing Zuanjin, frozen sky palm, that the black cold air condensed like lightning in Bingha's hands, and in the next moment, a thick layer of black ice quietly condensed on his palm. This ice layer does not seem to have any magical properties, but it gives people a kind of feeling. An unusually eerie chill. The black ice palm took shape quickly. Bingha stomped the ground with his feet, and his figure flashed out. The next moment, he appeared in front of the mysterious palm print, with a solemn face, and immediately blasted out with a palm. The palm moves with the heart, and the moment Bingha's palm blasted, the surrounding cold suddenly exploded. The color of the black ice was introverted, and there was a deadly cold poison in the depth. If it hit the human body, not only the flesh, but even the fighting spirit in the body, will be frozen in an instant. Palm thunder. After all, Yang Ji grew up among the descendants and reached his current achievements. He is also the retired commander of the Thunder Legion, so he naturally masters some high-level fighting skills. Although he was not given the surname Lei, he could still learn the thunder in his palm. Boom! Above the Glacier Valley, the two powerful men were like two meteors streaking across the sky. At that moment, they collided brilliantly, and a shocking sound resounded throughout the world. A terrifying energy storm spread from the sky, and black cracks nearly meters long appeared quietly like ravines in the void space. Such a scene was like a big mouth that suddenly opened in the sky. It's chilling. The spread of the energy storm also brought about a hurricane that swept across the world. In the forests around the city, countless giant trees were uprooted and then flew into the distance. The scene was like a doomsday scene. The elder Tian snake beside Bing was instantly shattered by the bombardment of these two powerful warriors, and Bingha's end was naturally not that good. He was only a 5-star Dou Zun. Facing Yang Ji, an 8-star Dou Zun, how could he be his opponent? Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Bingha was severely injured in an instant. Kill! Lei Qi said an indifferent word, and Yang Ji's figure disappeared in a flash. Boom! Chapter 66. Absorb the third alien fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66. Absorb the third strange fire. After killing Bingha, Lei Qi took away his body and immediately asked Yang Ji and the little medical fairy to search for the details of Bingha River Valley. About half an hour later, the three came outside again. As expected, there are indeed many resources suitable for the cultivation of little medical immortals here. The Glacier Valley has existed for many years, and the glacier wants to become the owner of the evil poison body, so it has indeed collected a lot of available resources. However, his disaster poison body is not complete yet and he cannot digest it, but these resources are undoubtedly a great supplement to the little medical fairy. This wave can be said to be a complete profit. After dealing with the matter in the Glacier Valley, they left the place directly. Where are we going now? The little medical fairy asked after leaving the Glacier Valley. Of course it's an opportunity for the Hui people to digest this time. With so much harvest, how can we not digest it properly? Lei Qi said. Hearing what Lei Qi said, Yang Ji on the side felt a little ashamed. Is this a gain? Isn't this clearly an intrusion into someone's property? However, he had a new understanding of the strength of Lei Qi and the little medical fairy. Except for Binghe, almost all the remaining people were killed by the two of them. Originally, Lei Qi planned to hang out in Zhongzhou for a while, but who told Glacier Valley to come to him and be destroyed. Now that a Zhongzhou force has been eliminated, it is natural to leave. Otherwise, it will inevitably cause some unnecessary chain reactions. This is not what Lei Qi wants to see. After Lei Qi and the others returned to the Lei realm, news of the destruction of the Glacier Valley also spread in Zhongzhou. The representative force of the third echelon in Zhongzhou was just wiped out. After this news came out, it undoubtedly caused huge fluctuations in Zhongzhou. But this fluctuation only lasts for a few days. After all, there are all kinds of wonderful things in Zhongzhou every day. Naturally, it cannot be because of one thing that it will last forever. Although the Glacier River Valley exists among the three valleys, it is not unusual for it to be wiped out in Zhongzhou, a place where thousands of people stand on equal footing and crouching tigers, hidden dragons, thunder within. After returning, Lei Qi and the little medical fairy went to retreat separately. After going out this time, Lei Qi has been able to confirm that his black magic thunder will not have any backlash. However, the power of the black magic thunder has now become much stronger, and the two elements in the body are no longer on the same level. It is at this time that Lei Qi needs to swallow the third strange fire, which is Hai Xinyan. Of course, before he went into seclusion, he also gave Chowing the fallen heart flame that he had nurtured. The alchemist possesses a strange fire, which will naturally be of great help in improving his ability to refine alchemy. The fallen heart flame ranks 14th on the list of strange fires. If it is given to Chowing, it is not bad. Chowing didn't expect that she would also get a strange fire. She was so excited that she almost confessed on the same day. However, Lei Qi did not touch her, because the higher the level of cultivation, the reward would be a rich date, especially for those girls who have a high appearance rate in the original world. The rewards will not be bad. Lei Qi only learned this later, having the experience of swallowing the strange fire twice before. Lei Qi is even more capable of swallowing the third sea heart flame. However, after swallowing the strange fire this time, he chose to retreat. As long as he can completely control the power of the three kinds of strange fires, Lei Qi can be sure that he will definitely gain a great harvest. And precisely because Lei Qi went into seclusion as soon as she came back, the younger generation of the Lei clan also worked harder. After the coming-of-age ceremony, they can be appointed in the Thunder Legion. As for what kind of status they can get, it naturally depends on their own strength. It is precisely because Lei Qi became the young clan leader that his outer house only provided training for the 9 Lei Dong people at first, but now it has reached people. If there was no competitive pressure before, then now, everyone except Lei Dong is under great pressure. And those Thunder Clan guys who were arranged later felt a burst of pain after feeling the effect brought by the 7-colored holy Lotus. When the great elders were selected before, many people felt that relying on others was a way of lowering one's status. Moreover, at that time, Lei Qi was not the young patriarch. They also have their own arrogance, but now, if possible, they really want to go back and slap their original selves. The Emperor Altar is certainly not bad, but after practicing in the Emperor Altar, the fighting spirit needs to be continuously tempered. It is like now, in the main hall of the Thunder Clan. After Lei Ying learned about Lei Qi's affairs in Zhongzhou from Lei Qi, he looked at Lei Jin and said, "I'm afraid this kid Lei Qi has already had some thoughts about the Glacier Valley." That should be the case,
but what is a little puzzling is how he knew that there would be resources suitable for the cultivation of the little medical fairy in the Glacier Valley. Lei Qi said in confusion. Maybe it's because when we left Dragon Island and bumped into the elders of the Glacier Valley in a city in the central region, they suddenly wanted to take action against the little fairy doctor. Lei guessed, he was just guessing, but not sure. Since we have decided to give him the right, let him let it go. We don't need to ask too much about this matter, Lei Qi said. Lei Qi's performance in all aspects undoubtedly satisfied him. But if this kid continues like this, will he provoke other tribes? Lei Ying hesitated and said. Lei Qi shook his head and said immediately, although there are many regulations among the 8 clans, the Soul Palace under the Soul Clan has done it countless times to have conflicts with the Zhongzhou forces and destroy their clans. As long as we don't go if we take action against the Down and Out Shao clan, if the 5-star fighting saints in the clan do not enter Zhongzhou, then everything will be fine. It's not like you don't know that when that kid first went to the Northwest continent, he controlled a servant of the ancient clan, a young man from the Shao clan, and a soul body. That kind of method is the best among the Lei clan. It's something I've never had before. Lei Ying said. In fact, what Lei Qi didn't know was that when he went to the Northwest continent, Yang Ji and Zhang Yi were not the only ones with him. Elder Lei Qi also followed secretly at that time, however, he never showed up. Well, when Lei Qi pulled Yun Cave to have sex, Lei Qi didn't know what happened during this period, but neither Yun nor Queen Medusa has anything that can control souls. Perhaps it comes from the clan, I'm not sure. Lei Qi guessed. Those elixirs of his, and his speed that suddenly reached the level of a 6th-grade alchemist. Lei Ying continued. In fact, we only need to know that what Lei Qi does is beneficial to our Lei clan. Why do we need to think so much? Chapter 67. Get out of seclusion, Dou Zun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67. Get out of seclusion, Dou Zun. It can be said that Lei Jin's words are very reasonable. Everything Lei Qi did was obviously for the good of the Lei clan, especially these women. They made all the elders of the Thunder clan see something extraordinary. I have seen that besides Dou Emperor's bloodline, there are also extreme talents in this world. As for these people, Lei Qi took them by his side almost as soon as he met them. It seems that here in Lei Qi, people are not judged by blood, which is much better than these old guys. That's all, let's just watch quietly. Maybe he is the one who can make our Thunder clan return to its glory in the Dou Emperor era. I don't know for sure. Lei Ying sighed with emotion. Patriarch. Looking at the great elder, Lei Ying smiled calmly. I am no longer a few decades old. I have lived for hundreds of years. I know my achievements and limits very well. Moreover, I also have a clear mind. Otherwise, how could I have given that boy such great rights before? Lei Ying said it sincerely. Obviously, his cultivation had been stuck for hundreds of years without any improvement, and he no longer thought about pursuing anything. In fact, before Lei Qi started to shine, Lei Ying's thought was very simple, that is, not to let the Lei clan follow in the footsteps of the Shao clan. It is enough to allow one's own people to survive and thrive stably. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In the inner world as always, suddenly, a violent vibration came from Lei Qi's mansion. The sudden vibration immediately caused quite a commotion, especially Kai Lin, who was about to give birth to the next generation, and left the room almost immediately, and when she stood in the air, more than 20 figures appeared from their respective rooms at the same time. And these people, without exception, all stand in the air. The Kalen girls themselves enjoyed enough resources and the gift of the 7-colored holy lotus, and their cultivation speed was as fast as a whoosh. As for the rest of the younger generation of the Thunder clan, as they grow older, their speed has increased by an unknown amount through training in the Emperor's altar and training in the outer residence. Cultivation level will naturally improve. At least those present here have reached the level of cultivation required to serve in the Thunder Legion. Of course, there are also those who are a little worse, such as Huiyu, who does not have the Dou Emperor bloodline and does not have extraordinary talents.
Even though he has been quite good in the Thunder Clan over the years, his cultivation has only just reached the 2-star Dou Emperor. Shortly after they appeared, some elders also appeared here. Their gazes were almost unified on Lei Qi's residence, because the fluctuations here emanated from him. Boom! At this moment, the roof of Lei Qi's house suddenly exploded, and the next moment, he saw a figure standing in the air, and the moment he came out, his extremely tyrannical momentum continued to spread in all directions. Behind him, space cracks appeared, disappeared, appeared, and disappeared one after another. Black thunder, colorless flames, blue flames, and cyan flames are constantly boiling on both sides. And soon, the black thunder began to condense and finally transformed into a fighting spirit wing. The 3-color flames also became compatible and transformed into another wing. When the wings were formed, the riot was completely stopped. When Lei Qi's aura began to stabilize, the eyes of the elders were filled with shock. Lei Qi has actually reached the level of Dou Zun. Although as you grow older, your cultivation in the Imperial Altar will improve very quickly. But at his age, there has never been anyone in the Thunder Clan who can reach Dou Zun in tens of thousands of years. 23 years old, in the early stage of 1-star Dou Zun. Stab it! A flash of lightning flashed where Lei Qi was, and the next moment, Lei Qi appeared in front of Lei Ying and Lei Jin, clan leader, great elder. When Lei Qi suddenly appeared in front of them, even the two of them were slightly stunned. Isn't Lei Qi's speed a bit outrageous? I'm afraid it's difficult for Dou Zun's peak cultivation to reach this speed, right? Lei Qi, what's your speed? Lei Ying asked directly. I also realized in seclusion again that black magic thunder and strange fire can not only improve combat power, but also can be used to improve speed. However, before breaking through Dou Zun, I have never succeeded. It was the first test after being successfully promoted, so the movement was a bit louder. Lei Qi responded. This mutated thunder and strange fire has allowed you to study it thoroughly. Lei Jin said. It's okay, but the fusion of the 3 different fires, as well as the fusion of the 3 different fires and the black magic thunder, still needs to be practiced slowly, Lei Qi said. Hearing this, the 2 nearly 1,000-year-old men looked at each other, both slightly speechless. This kid is really capable of doing some random things. They naturally knew how shocking the destructive power that exploded after Lei Qi's strange fire and black magic thunder merged, but he had already succeeded, and since it wasn't the relationship shown in front of them, neither of them said anything about it. Lei Ying added, it doesn't matter whether you study fighting skills or innovate, but you must not be too anxious. Once you hurt yourself, you will lose more than you gain. Don't worry, Patriarch, I won't do anything that I'm not sure of. Lei Qi responded. Well, it's my Thunder Clan's coming-of-age ceremony soon, so get ready to welcome it. After Lei Ying responded, he said a word and disappeared directly. The same great elder and many elders also left here after congratulating Lei Qi. The rest are his women and the younger brothers of the clan. Congratulations to the young patriarch for being promoted to Dou Zun. Lei Nin was the first to congratulate, others also congratulated, even Lei Dong was convinced. Lei Qi nodded, and immediately looked at everyone's changes after seclusion during this period. First of all, the little medical fairy has reached the peak of the 9-star Dou Zun. When she can share most of the poison of disaster with the function of the seal, rising to this level is enough to prove that the harvest of the Glacier River Valley is for the little doctor. How huge it is in terms of immortality, the Thunder Clan is indeed infinitely stronger than the Glacier River Valley, and their background is far from comparable to that of the Glacier River Valley, but Glacier River Valley and the Thunder Clan are different. They collect resources suitable for the Calamity Poison body all the year round. Maybe they are waiting for Glacier, who has perfected the Calamity Venom body, to help him directly go into seclusion and advance to the Saint position, right? Of course, the energy required by Dou Sheng is extremely terrifying, and he can be considered a fool's errand. As for why, with such a rich background, the little medical immortal has just reached the peak of the 9-star Dou Zun. That's just because the little medical fairy is currently sealed with poisonous gas. Only when she condenses the poisonous elixir can she get part of it to improve her own cultivation. As for the poison gas stored in her body, only after she has completely mastered the poisonous body of the disaster can it fully provide her with improvement. Therefore, being able to be promoted to the peak of the 9-star Dou Zun is undoubtedly beyond expectations. Chapter 68. Reward from the Goblin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68. Reward from the Goblin. In addition to the little medical immortal, there is Kai Lin, whose current cultivation has reached the late stage of the 8-star Dou sect. This is still a big baby in her belly. Because of this relationship, Medusa often needs to rest. Otherwise, with her bloodline and the resources provided by the Lei clan in accordance with Lei Qi's requirements, she will definitely be able to reach a higher level. After that, there was Qin Lin, who reached the late stage of 7-star Dou Zun, after receiving the skills donated by Lei Qi, and under the influence of the 8th-level snake monster, Qinlin's cultivation speed was also thousands of miles a day. Moreover, Qinlin is not only able to fight and practice with snake-like monsters, but also now she can control ordinary snakes. Moreover, Qinlin also raised many ordinary snakes. These snakes have no fighting power, but they can play a key role, that's investigation. An ordinary snake with no fighting spirit can actually become a kind of scout to detect information. However, this kind of snake needs to be cultivated by Qinlin himself. It will take a long time to complete a snake net. According to Chao Ying, although she took the qualification pill provided by Lei Qi, there is still some gap in her cultivation. She is only in the middle stage of the 2-star Dou sect now, but at only 18 years old, she is now an alchemist in the early stage of the 7th level, and her soul realm has reached the middle stage of the spiritual realm. In terms of alchemy, even many 7th-grade alchemists from the Thunder clan praised him constantly. It is precisely because of this that over the years, the Thunder clan has also been looking for her some heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can enhance her soul power. It would undoubtedly be the greatest blessing for the Thunder clan if they could train a 9th-grade alchemist. It can be said that Chao Ying's current status in the Thunder clan has also skyrocketed. Then Huiyu is just an ordinary tool girl. ThunderClan side, Lei Dong's current cultivation level has reached the late stage of 9-star Dou Zun. Through various bonuses over the years, Lei Dong has obviously become stronger. Although there is no way to compare with Lei Qi, among the younger generation of the Lei clan and even the entire Dou Emperor family, he is undoubtedly the top existence now. Although Lei Dong had reached this point by relying on his cultivation in the imperial altar, it could be seen that he had never been lazy in tempering himself. The momentum is very strong. Although the difference between him and Lei Qi's 9-star fighting sect was not even 1 star, but compared to many peak fighting sects, he was more solid. The beatings he received over the years were not in vain. Apart from Lei Dong, the most outstanding ones are Lei Nin, Lei Tu, Lei Xiao, and Lei Yun. Their cultivation levels have all reached the middle and late stages of the 6-star Dou Zun. Lei Nin and Lei Tu were the first to practice in the outer house, while Lei Xiao and Lei Yun came here after Lei Qi became the young clan leader. They are also the leaders of the younger generation of the Thunder clan, and the power of their bloodline is obviously not too bad. Coupled with the gestation of the colorful Holy Lotus, it is not surprising that they can reach such a level. Even the elders of the Thunder clan were extremely shocked by the effect of the 7-colored Holy Lotus. If it weren't for the fact that this was something Lei Qi obtained, they really wanted to use this place as a gathering place for the younger generation of the Lei clan. The cultivation levels of Lei Kun, Lei Wen, Lei Yu, and Lei Ling are in the early and middle stages of the 4-star Dou Zun. After all, there is a gap in bloodline, and there is also a gap in speed, especially since everyone relies on bloodline to make a living. After that, the cultivation levels of Ren, Lei Yi, Lei Shi, and Lei Ba all reached the 2nd and 3rd-star Dou Zun levels. The rest of them are all from the 1-star Dou Zun. These people are only in their 20s, and it is at this time that the effect of Dou Emperor's bloodline is about to be fully exerted. It can be said that in a few years, they will be able to reach the Dou Zun level. As for how far you can go, it depends on your own bloodline level, talent and acquired hard work. At night, Lei Qi came to Chao Ying's house, although he wanted to get the reward later, but Chao Ying, the little fairy, is really charming now. Today, Chao Ying is no longer the little girl she used to be. She has a long and delicate body. She is dressed in a black dress and exudes a cold and arrogant temperament. Her skin is like snow. 3,000 blue hairs are casually draped over her shoulders. Her cheeks slightly thin, but extremely delicate, like porcelain. It makes people feel like they can't put it down. She leaned on the edge of the couch and looked at Lei Qi, who had returned. She glanced slightly. There was a trace of enchantment and charm in her narrow and slightly lazy eyes. Lei Qi felt that he was a man with a very stable mentality, but when he saw Chowing like this, especially when the corners of her slender lips slowly raised a slight arc, her thin and charming cheeks instantly full of evil spirit, if you don't accept this little goblin's words, Lei Qi will become a man in vain. Seeing Lei Qi like this, Chowing felt particularly satisfied in her heart. This is what she wants to see. Chowing has been waiting for this day for so many years. You know, she was the first to follow Lei Qi. However, because of a small relationship, she never received special attention from Lei Qi. All his output was given to other fairies. Now, she can finally get her wish. Ding, congratulations to the host on the new year, and 108 grade 9 color elixirs will be rewarded. Lei Qi's sudden pause made Chowing a little puzzled. She was like a kitten, and her sweet voice was like a little claw scratching Lei Qi's heart. Originally, Lei Qi planned to observe and see what kind of elixirs they contained, but for now, he could put them aside for the time being. The elixir rewarded this time is undoubtedly the most important. There are only a few 8th grade and 9 color elixirs in the Thunder Clan today. This is undoubtedly a generous resource reward. Chao Yingdao is indeed a genius in refining medicine. The Lei clan's alchemists are indeed somewhat scarce. During the Dou Emperor's era, the Thunder Clan naturally had such alchemists, but in this era, the Lei clan does not have a single 9th grade alchemist. This is why Chao Ying is so popular among the clan. A large part of the reason for his extremely high status is that the elders of the Thunder Clan have also seen Chao Ying's supreme talent in this area. Lei Qi worked until late at night, and only after the little goblin completely lost consciousness did he have a chance to check his reward. These 8 grade and 9 color elixirs undoubtedly contain strange energy, however, because the system is sealed, they have no way to escape. There is no doubt that each of these pills has extremely strong energy. Among them, there are 30 pills that can help Dou Zun improve, heal injuries, and restore fighting spirit. Moreover, there are also 10 pills that are specially designed to nourish the fetus. These elixirs can undoubtedly increase qualifications. The most important thing is that these elixirs are extremely mild and can be absorbed by the fetus. It is a pity that even the elixir with strong energy has not been digested by Lei Qi. Now that if you want to digest this kind of elixir, you must be a Dou Zun who is at least 7 or 8 stars in strength, otherwise you may be able to burst it. Lei Qi would naturally not do such stupid things. Chapter 69-69. Chao Ying is pregnant, and her kung fu is devouring heaven Jew. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 69. Chao Ying is pregnant, and her kung fu is devouring heaven Jew. The next day, Lei Qi gave Kai Lin a pill to nourish the fetus. Its main body, the colorful sky-swallowing python, could actually take 1 pill. However, the current Kai Lin could not fully exert the effect of an 8th grade 9 color elixir, so Lei Qi just gave it to the fetus in her belly. Originally, the formula used to cultivate Medusa from the snake tribe was, at most, enough to allow her to reproduce the offspring of Dou Huang, but now it is different. Not to mention that she is now a 7-colored sky-swallowing python, coupled with Lei Qi's powerful talent, their descendants will naturally become extremely extraordinary. After giving Kailin a pill to nourish the fetus, Lei Qi and Chao Ying spent these days studying life. About half a month passed. Ding, it's been detected that Chao Ying is pregnant. Do you want to get a reward? Obtain. This morning, Lei Qi saw a prompt when she woke up. After learning that Chao Ying was pregnant, she immediately chose to receive the reward. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the heaven-level advanced skill, Swallowing Heaven Jew. Swallowing Heaven Jew, it can swallow all the strange energies in the world. After being refined with the Heaven-Swallowing Jew, it can be converted into its own power. After seeing the introduction of the Heaven-Swallowing Jew, Lei Qi saw that the best candidates for the Heaven-Swallowing Jew were the 7-colored Sky-Swallowing Python and the 9-colored Sky-Swallowing Python. Good guy. He really didn't expect that Chao Ying would have such a skill. If this kind of skill is given to Kai Lin, it will definitely enable Kai Lin to reach a new level. Inger, you are awesome. Lei Qi looked at the enchanting beauty beside him and praised her. That's natural. Ying thought Lei Qi was referring to it, so she was not shy and admitted it directly. There is something wrong with this little goblin's thinking. Why did his serious compliment seem to become weird from her thoughts? Lei Qi did not study this issue carefully, but after washing, she went to Kai Lin's residence. When Kai Lin saw Lei Qi coming again, she took the lead and said, "I'm going to give birth in the next few days." After swallowing the pill, Kai Lin felt that a child was about to be born. Therefore, the moment she saw Lei Qi, she was the first to speak. "Can't I have other things to do, and can't I see you?" Lei Qi said dissatisfied. Kai Lin gave Lei Qi a charming eye roll. He seems to be asking, what does he think of this? When Lei Qi saw this, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. To be honest, he was speechless, because many times when he was looking for Kai Lin, he seemed to only have one thing in mind, and that was exploration. This is a reward that Ying just received. However, it is not suitable for her, so I gave it to you. Lei Qi took out the previous skills from the system space. Although this was not a reward within the clan, it was indeed revealed by Ying, so what Lei Qi said was not wrong. After hearing what Lei Qi said, Kai Lin showed a little curiosity, and then took the technique from Lei Qi's hand. Just by looking at it, Kai Lin could feel the aura fluctuations in her body. What kind of skill is this? Kai Lin asked in surprise. The heaven-swallowing art is extremely suitable for the training of a fairy with a strange bloodline like you. Lei Qi said. You are the goblin. Kai Lin immediately retorted, she is from the lineage of an ancient mythical beast, so she is nothing short of a fairy. However, she still tried to practice immediately, but because she was about to give birth to a child, Kai Lin only practiced for a while and then stopped. What a powerful technique. With it, I think I will have enough confidence even if I am promoted to Dou Zun. Kai Lin said in surprise. Although Kai Lin has been in the Thunder World for many years, in fact, she doesn't know much about her own potential. Moreover, now she is just a Dou Zun, so naturally the only thing she thinks of is Dou Zun. Look at your little structure, follow me. It doesn't matter if you are fighting for Sage is not your end. Lei Qi pinched her charming face and said, in terms of charm alone, Kai Lin and Ying would definitely be neck and neck. However, the original Medusa itself carried a kind of charm. After being promoted to the colorful sky-swallowing python, it can be said that it is even more powerful. Better than that. Therefore, Kai Lin's casual expression can stimulate the riot factor in Lei Qi. Subconsciously, Lei Qi let her go. Kai Lin is really unable to resist now. Moreover, his eldest daughter is about to be born. As for why it is determined that she is the eldest daughter and not the second son, it is naturally because of Kai Lin's own reasons. Medusa's ability to reproduce will only be girls. Even though she has been promoted to a 7-colored sky-swallowing python, but there are still some curses on Medusa. As for her son, there is no hope for her in this life, but as for her daughter, it is inevitable. After a few simple words with Kai Lin, Lei Qi left her room. Looking at Lei Qi leaving, a seductive smile appeared on the queen's delicate face. How could she not know what Lei Qi wanted to do just now? But because of the child, he chose to leave. Kailin was about to give birth and Ying was pregnant, so Lei Qi stayed in Huiyu's room these days. There is no other way. Lei Qi intends to endure it until the fight against the saint comes to the little medical fairy in Qinglin. Huiyuer is quite powerful. No matter how Lei Qi performs, she doesn't make any move. The outside world of ThunderClan, because the coming-of-age ceremony is coming soon. Many forces with powerful semi-saints in Zhongzhou have been invited to watch the ceremony, and these days, many representatives of those forces have rushed to the Thunder Clan. Among them, several people from the Duty family also came. Of course, the Soul family, a group that goes its own way, did not come to participate. It can be said that people from the Soul clan will usually show up only for matters that require several clans to make decisions together. Otherwise, the general Soul clan will never show up. For the Soul clan, there is absolutely no need to be hypocritical with them. In a huge martial arts arena outside, there are many Thunder troops standing guard everywhere. On the martial arts arena, Lei Kun and Lei Yu were sparring. In fact, this discussion is not a simple discussion. At the same time, it is also related to the subsequent appointment of the Thunder Legion. the new generation of people who have climbed up the mountain have begun to show their talents. Lei Qi and Lei Yu are both 4-star Dou sects, but one is in the late stage and the other is in the mid-stage. The two of them were going back and forth, and they had already fought for nearly 100 rounds. Currently, Lei Yu is only at a disadvantage, but he was not incapable of fighting. Many representatives of the forces who came here were watching this battle from a distance. When they saw the strength of this year's Thunder Clan juniors, they were all secretly shocked. At such a young age, he is already a strong Dou Zun, a 4-star Dou Zun or above. After all, he is worthy of being the proud descendant of the Didi family. Some powerful people who had been lucky enough to participate in the previous coming-of-age ceremony were also full of emotions. During the last coming-of-age ceremony of the Thunder Clan, there were no two talented people like this in the Thunder Clan. Chapter 70 Discussions among various ethnic groups. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70. Discussions among various ethnic groups. Inside the martial arts arena are the geniuses and elders of each Dou Emperor family. The representative of the ancient clan this time was Elder Tongxian, a senior semi-saint. There were quite a few people who came with him, almost all of whom were the geniuses of the ancient clan. The ages of these people are almost the same as those of the Thunder Clan who are participating in the fan ceremony. However, the coming-of-age ceremony for each Didi family is very different. For example, among the ancient tribes, the ceremony would only be held when the descendants are in their late 30s. There are also earlier ones, and of course, there are later ones. At this time, watching the two people fighting in the ring on the martial arts field, Gu Qingyang, who was next to Elder Tongxian, said, "This is the strongest junior of their Thunder Clan this year, and it's nothing more than that." Gu Qingyang, Gu Zun is the only one in the ancient clan's bloodline, and his cultivation has now reached the early stage of the 6-star Dao Zong. It can be said that apart from superior talents, there are also achievements achieved through hard work. As far as I know, they are not the current generation of Thunder Clan's geniuses. Elder Tongxian shook his head and said, "Isn't this the genius of the Thunder Clan?" Gu Hua on the side was a little shocked when he heard this. He is only at the early stage of the 4-star Dou sect, and among the younger generation of the ancient clan, he is already far ahead. That I thought these two were already top-notch, but I didn't expect this to be the case. Yes, it is said that one of the geniuses of this generation of the Lei clan is named Lei Qi and the other is named Lei Dong. In fact, because of their relationship, the Lei clan even opened up a clan territory that had not been opened for hundreds of years. And the two people on the field, there are two little guys, one named Lei Qi and the other named Lei Yu. Elder Tongxian said. This. After hearing what Tongxian said, several people were a little confused. Are the younger generations of the Thunder Clan so strong? Don't worry. As long as you can pay attention to the bloodline level, there is still a chance to surpass Dou Zun. After all, practicing fast now may not be of any use. Elder Tongxian does not care about the current strength. In his opinion, the most important thing is who has the stronger talent after Dou Zun. Before Dou Zun, as long as he was baptized by the Emperor altar, his speed would not be slow. After all, the young and powerful bloodline has not yet been fully exerted, so it is normal for the improvement to be slower. As the age increases, the power of bloodline begins to exert its strength. Only then will one be able to know that bloodline level is the most important. After hearing this, the younger generations of the ancient tribe felt a little better. At the same time, people from the Medicine Clan, Yen Clan, Stone Clan, and Spirit Clan were also talking about these things. Lei Yu, Lei Qi, will decide on the position of Commander-in-Chief. At this time, the battle on the stage was coming to an end. Lei Qi burst out with all his strength, shouted loudly, and knocked Lei Yu back off the stage with the last palm. After all, he would be better than Lei Yu. Lei Yu was naturally a little unwilling, but if he lost, he would lose. He still cupped his fists and said, "Congratulations, but this result will not be permanent." I'm always waiting for your challenge. Lei Qi responded and immediately got off the ring. The Thunder Legion is also a place where powerful people live, and leaders can fight with each other at any time to compete for status. Similarly, the Grand Commander can also challenge the Chief Commander, but if others want to do so, they need to defeat the Grand Commander. After that, Lei Tu and Lei Yun went on stage to fight. At this time, Gu Qingyan was hit again, because it was still not Lei Qi and Lei Dong who appeared, but the strength of these two people completely surpassed Gu Qingyang's. As the strongest genius of the ancient clan, he was hit hard. This side of the Yan clan, the leader of the Yan clan is Yan Ting Elder. Looking at the competition on the field, he was slightly shocked. Obviously, this year's group of juniors from the Thunder clan are not easy. Immediately, Yan Ting looked at the veiled woman beside him and asked, "Huaji, didn't you go see Lei Qi?" The veiled woman paused and then said, "I heard from the elders of the Lei clan that Lei Qi is practicing in seclusion and has not yet left seclusion." Hearing this, Yan Ting was a little displeased. "Are you still in retreat at this time? No matter how you think about it, it doesn't sound like it's true. It would be fine if he hadn't seen the current geniuses of the Lei clan, but now that he saw how outstanding these people were, Yan Ting could be said to have become more and more curious about Lei Qi's current achievements." "Then have you met Huiyu?" Yan Ting asked again. "No." Huaji paused after hearing this and then shook his head. "You can go find Huiyu later and ask about Lei Qi's current situation." Yan Ting said again. "Looking for her?" Huaji hesitated. Huiyu, at most they were members of the same clan, but no matter how much friendship they had, there was no friendship at all. After all, Huiyu was somewhat dissatisfied with herself, and she knew it very well. "Yes, Lei Qi is your future husband. No matter what, you must know something about him. Huiyu has been in the Lei clan for a long time, and he must know much more than you do." Yan Ting continued said. "Okay." Although Huaji didn't want to, Yan Ting had already ordered so, what could she do? Yan Ting also had great say in the outside world, so even Huaji did not dare to disobey anything he ordered. After all, if she disobeys the elders and causes trouble with the clan leader, even her father will be helpless. The location of the medicine clan. This year's juniors from the Thunder clan are even more outstanding. Yao Ji sighed. After saying that, Yao Ji also glanced at Yao Ling. As he said at the beginning, he actually supported the marriage between the Yao clan and the Thunder clan. It's a pity that the elders of the medicine clan kept hesitating, but they didn't expect that in the end, the Thunder clan would marry the Yen clan, although the medicine clan is not afraid. After all, the gap is much wider compared to the two races. Although the Yao clan has many strong people who are willing to make friends with their superb medicine refining skills, after all, there are still many gaps compared to the Dudi clan. Their excellence is only for now. In a few years, it won't be certain who will be stronger and who will be weaker. Yao Tian said confidently, he is the most serious genius of this generation of the medicine clan. Not only is he a master in refining medicine with one hand, but his cultivation level has also reached the level of the 4-star dose sect. However, for an alchemist, strength is never everything. In his other identity, he would be a peak 7th grade alchemist. Moreover, his sister is even more extraordinary. In the future, her soul realm will most likely reach the Imperial realm. As long as he can reach the Imperial realm's soul, then his sister may be able to reach the realm of the 9th grade golden elixir alchemist. At that time, the medicine clan will definitely be more brilliant. The most important thing is that the bloodline of the two brothers and sisters is not bad. Although they have not reached the divine level, they must at least start at the 8th level, and their cultivation will only make them more powerful.